Elephant Media, and today I've got Matt Wheeler with me from Firestarters. I'm really excited about this. Actually, I'm going to hopefully learn loads as well. So one of the most common problems that we see when we are doing consultation work for marketing is in the sales department, and often they think it's a marketing thing, and it isn't. So I've asked Matt to come along and talk to us about sales and how you do them. Matt, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and Firestarters, if possible?
No problem at all. Morning, Henny, and morning, everybody. Thank you very much for having me on. I'm Matt Wheeler, as Henny said, and I'm the Product and Marketing Director at Firestarter Business Solutions. And I think the thing about our business is fundamentally we are all about helping organizations to sell more of whatever it is they sell. And that often presents itself in many different ways with how we work with people. So sometimes we're focused on simply training a sales team. Sometimes we'll be refining their propositions or getting new sales processes in place to drive improvements. But quite often what you call the sales solution is less obvious, and we end up focusing on operational issues or broader team and structural challenges. So, similar to what you've just been saying, Henny, about people coming to you with marketing problems that don't end up being marketing problems, we find exactly the same scenario with sales as well. And the problem can be actually much deeper ingrained in the business itself. And we work with a variety of different types of businesses to try and get to the bottom of what those challenges are.
Yeah, it's never the simplest solution, is it? And I think one of the things that I found when we initially spoke to each other was, I love the setup of the business and how it works and how you work with people, because that's a lot of what we do as well. But also the sort of depth that you'll go to help them find their solution as a whole, which is unusual actually nowadays. Most things are sort of surface level, and you guys get really stuck in with loads of
Yeah,
solution, which is great.
it's one of those things that we we often say to people, we're not one of those kind of wave your hands around type of consultancy businesses that tells you what you're doing wrong, then going to charge you lots of money for writing a report type thing. It's we're very much hands on, get stuck in, rolls your sleeves up, and we actually we embed our teams into our clients to actually do the work for them if they don't have the resources to do it themselves, which is often one of the challenges they have.
Yeah, and I see that quite a lot actually as well. So talk to me about some of the sort of typical challenges that you see that businesses face as a whole.
So I think so. We work with I guess three core different types of organization, or three different audiences. I guess we've got the larger kind of corporate organizations that have an established team. They are fundamentally just looking for performance improvement. They're looking for improved productivity, more consistency in their teams, just so that they can kind of just up their game a little bit. Then we've got the kind of SME type of environment where sometimes they've got an existing sales team, but often they haven't got a business development function at all. And you'll find there that the leader, the business owner, the MD, they're doing the selling themselves. Or often there'll be just some ad hoc sales that goes on as and when they can get to it. There's no real process. There's no clean lines in that business. They don't really kind of understand how they win business. They just do. And the fundamental issue that we face with those types of organizations is that there's lots of dependency on one or two people in that business. So, we need to remove that dependency on those people and kind of filter the responsibility for selling down into other areas of the team. But more often it's building that proper sales engine. And I guess the kind of other things that hang around that are that there's no analytics, there's no business processes, there's lots of other things going on that distract from sales. They have loads of great ideas, but they haven't got the resources, or they haven't got the expertise to test whether they're going to work or not. So all of those kind of challenges come to the surface, and fundamentally the kind of the top line challenge, I suppose, is that businesses have got themselves to a certain point. They've almost reached a glass ceiling of performance, and they've managed to get there by hook or by crook, by selling through passion and just trying to drive things forward, but they can't get to that next level. And it's when they're getting to that scalable point that they then need to really start thinking about their sales processes, who's responsible for sales, their organizational structure, the clean lines in the business, the processes and the tools that they're using, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And then the just to sort of round it off, the kind of third area that we get involved with is just dealing with the individuals as well. So you have individuals within these businesses who often just want a bit of training. They just want to get better. They know that they have a responsibility to do some kind of selling, but they've never learned how to do it professionally. They've just fallen into it. And that's one of the things that we're quite passionate about in our business is trying to professionalize the art of selling, to make sure that people follow a correct way of doing things.
It's a whole topic, really, isn't it? I mean, we could dig down on it for ages, but I'm thinking of some of the sort of common obstacles that we've seen and even we've experienced within our own business in terms of bringing in salespeople. When you have been a small team and then you're expanding out, because it's the lifeblood of your business. So to give that up is a bit of a fear factor for a lot of businesses.
Definitely.
That will be expanding and moving forwards. And also, actually, a lot of them don't have a sales process. So even though we'll produce sales funnels, that sort of thing, once it's reached them and someone's picking it up the other end, there's a sort of drop off there that they're, who deals with it, who's doing what with that, how does that happen next? So what are the sort of common issues? Those are the ones that we've experienced, but other common issues that people have, and how do you help them overcome some of those challenges?
I think that the biggest lesson that I can give, I guess, to start with, is that very often a business will absolutely love their own product or their service, and they will think, this is fantastic. There's absolutely no reason why anybody will not buy this particular product. But often they're not looking at it from the perspective of their buyers, or sometimes they don't even know who their buyers are. And the first thing that we always say is, look, put yourself in your buyer's shoes. Really try to understand and work out what they really want, because then that helps to shape how you go about positioning that to them.
Yeah.
So the one of the kind of really important things then is to understand that people like to buy, they don't like to be sold to. So you've got to really think about sort of understanding the challenges that they face, the pain points that they experience, and you've got to demonstrate empathy towards them. And it's not just about the business need. What we identify with pain points is that it's really about the personal motivations and the personal circumstances that people are in. And that's the real trick here is diving in deep into that and working out what is the real problem that you're trying to solve with your product or solution here. And actually, the good news is that there's realistically only a small number of things that I guess kind of group these pain points together. So let me just quickly pick through a couple of these, just so that you can kind of get a feel for it.
No, really interesting.
So the first one really is frustration. Yeah. So you think about it yourself, Henny. So if you're trying to buy something new or whatever, it's you're frustrated at what you've currently got is just not very good. What you want is something that can do the job better. This is driving me crazy, and whatever you're proposing to me, as if you're in a sales scenario or you're a buyer, you just want to fix that particular problem that you've got. So that problem could be taken away. There's another one is just a purely financial situation. This is we come across this all the time. People will be under pressure from a timing perspective, from a financial perspective, and they'll be thinking, right, well, I just need to save some money. I can't be continuing doing what I'm doing, spending the same amount of money that I am at the moment. I just need something cheaper, or I need something that's a bit more efficient. So you go down that road with the the way that you'll sell or you'll communicate your proposition to those people. There'll be a credibility point quite often. So you'll find that there'll be people that are buying because they want to look good in their job, and whatever you're selling to them needs to kind of boost their own credibility, help them look competent, help them perform better, look like a hero internally, all of those sorts of things. And also there's a kind of a complementary point to that in terms of risk. So someone might be thinking, I'm exposed at the moment, and people are going to find me out if I don't have what you've got. So I need to demonstrate that I've got something covered. So the thing that I'm buying, or the thing that you're selling me, needs to make that risk go away. So you see what I mean? All of those sorts of things are just actually more very personal situations that people find themselves in. So there's that fear of failure, or there's that need for positive recognition, or just a kind of desire to complete something that people need. And the really good sort of good salespeople that understand their buyers will drill into those particular issues and make sure that they're identifying what the real problems are that people are facing.
Yeah, we've run focus groups here where we are bringing people's target audience into a room, and we'll write down your top reasons why you won't buy from this company, and they'll always write down a list of onto stick-it notes, and then we go, now order them, and it's always the same top 3 at the top. Or almost every single time it's the same top 3, and you're like, that's the silent conversation that we need to solve, that's going on in their head when they're making that purchase from you. And you're absolutely right. Interesting, I've never thought of it in the way that you've put it, but it's the same, because they are going through those conversations in their head. Is this better? Is it going to solve the issue that I've got? Is it going to make me look great?
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is absolutely dead right. So if they're starting out on this process, so you would come in and they're struggling with their sales for whatever capacity, what's the sort of process that you would go through with them to sort of help them out of the pain that they're in now to get them into where they want to be?
So from a client perspective, we work with organizations to fundamentally get a grip of what their sales strategy is and understand where they're trying to go with their business. And that's that's quite a challenge in its own right in many instances. But once we've established that, we're then into looking at the different areas of sort of trying to drive things forward. Now, as I said before, it's not always obvious what the sales problem is in an organization. So we need to sort of break down the different component parts. And sometimes it will be about looking at your proposition, what you're going to market with, what are your routes to market, who your target audience is, how you're segmenting them, what your marketing strategy is, what your marketing sort of content is that supports all of that. So there's a whole raft of work that needs to be looked at around that sort of thing. And then it then sort of comes down to, right, okay, well, who's doing the work? So who is actually doing the selling in this organization? If it is the business leader, what you'll probably find is that business leader has sold on passion. They've sold on the fact that this is their baby. This is something that they've built from the ground up, and they get everything over the line by demonstrating that passion for what they're doing. But it can be often quite difficult for them to translate that into a sales process and a sales methodology that other people in the organization can do for them. So you'll find, or we often find, that we've got frustrated business owners that are thinking, God, if only I could bottle what I have and what I'm selling and give it to the rest of the team. So that's another one of kind of our roles, is bringing our team in to try and draw that experience out and then turn that into a more of a sort of functional
because I reckon
sales
that's
engine.
a really hard thing to do as well.
Yeah.
I think as well with being business owners, and I definitely fall into that category, but I think being a business owner, you do have a passion, and you do think, God, if I could just have 20 of me going out doing the same thing, this would be thriving. But I think we're all too close to our own businesses. And I always say this to our clients, you're too close to your own business to see it objectively. And I think the same, like someone coming in, looking from the outside saying, well, you're doing this, 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 and this, that can actually be translated into something, into a sales process is actually a really important thing. So don't think you can do that for yourself. I think it's one of those that, when we come into businesses and they're like, I can do that bit. And I'm like, that's the bit you can't do because you can't see it objectively. You've got a bias on it already before you've started.
Yeah. So exactly right, and that's where we try to almost kind of standardize the way in which any kind of business's product or service should be sold. And fundamentally, we believe that it's built on habits. And I think what we need to establish within organizations is a number of core habits that organization works with. So you're almost creating a situation where you say, well, this is how we sell at this company, and you have those kind of habits that salespeople within that organization will demonstrate consistently, because that will then give them the success that they need. So there are 7 of these. So I'll quickly go through them.
Go, yeah. I'm learning loads. It's brilliant.
So here we go. Right. So the first habit is all about ownership. Right. So we start with the answer and we work out where we're trying to go. So as a salesperson, this is all about understanding your territory and behaving as if your territory is your own business. And so any good salesperson, whether they're in a large team or in a small team, whatever, they will have a territory of some description or other. They have an area of responsibility. That's their world, and they have to treat that like it's their own business. Nobody else is going to do that for them. They've just got to own that, and don't blame anybody else for other circumstances for not doing things, and just always be proactive and find a way forward. So that's habit 1. Habit 2 is about being thorough and knowing your universe. So if you've got a kind of an area that you're focused on, whether that's the UK, whether it's Europe, whether it's just a town or a region, whatever, you need to know everything there is to know about that. How many organizations are there, or how many of your how many prospects fit into your target audience? Who have you sold to before? Who have your competitors got? What's the key pain points that you need to address? All of those different sort of elements of that universe, you need to be all over that and just know exactly who you're dealing with. The third point is action. And there are so many people and businesses that we come across who are always getting ready to sell. There's always another little spreadsheet they need to fill in, or there's always another little bit of content that they need to develop before they can go and talk to somebody.
I've seen that. Can't launch anything until I finish this course.
Talking to people.
Yeah. I see that. So
it's all about action. So you've got to get out there. You've got to start talking to people, and that's how you're going to start sort of generating activity and opportunity and so on. Number 4 is all about your method. And we have a phrase in our business where we say, you have to treat every meeting like it's the golden hour. Not that every meeting needs to be an hour, by the way, but it's just good for the way you present it. But it's all about having a proper structure to your sales meetings, controlling your conversations, having a method that you follow, and just understanding what you're trying to achieve with each of your meetings, so that you get the results that you want. So you're just building those repeatable habits, again, so that you know exactly what you're going to do at every stage. The 5th one is all about understanding your customers, and this can often be a little bit controversial, but we always advocate actively seeking out obstacles before they are presented to you and hitting them head on, because that enables you as a salesperson to be in control of any situation that you might come across. So if you're doing your preparation for your golden hour, for example, you've got to be thinking, right, well, what's going to stop this deal from going through? What potential obstacles might I be faced with? And it could be something as simple as the price of your solution, or it could be something even as simple as, well, actually the features that we have aren't actually going to solve the problem that they face. Or it might be that there's you're talking to one particular person, but there's other influencing factors that might get in the way. And so by facing those obstacles head on, you can deal with them, and you can address them before they come to you as objections, because you don't really want to be faced with objections.
No, and you have control over how that is dealt with as well, I suppose, if you're controlling that up front.
Completely. Number 6 is all about rhythm, and this is where as a salesperson you have to know what activity you've got to put in at the front end to get the results at the back end. So it's all about your pipeline, your order taking ratios, you're getting into your sort of your order taking processes and all of that kind of thing, so that you know that you've got a certain number of activities at the front, which then enable your prospects to keep coming through. And if you keep that rhythm going, then you've got that predictability coming out at the end of it, so that you're not surprised that if you haven't done the work at the front end and you're not getting your opportunities at the back end. Well, there's a reason for that. So it's knowing where your opportunities are coming from. And then the final one, the 7th one, is all about the basics. And we often talk about sales is a really old profession. It's been ever since the beginning of time, people have been selling and buying things and trading and all of that kind of stuff, and the principles actually haven't changed an awful lot. Technology comes and adapts the way that we do things, but the basics are always still there. So we often tell people to yes, embrace the technology that's coming through. Think about the new ways in which you can sell, the social selling, remote selling, selling online, all of those sorts of different things that are different to what you might have been doing 20, 30 years ago. But the basics are still the same. Don't get lost in the technology. Just concentrate on being being efficient with what you're doing. So if all of those 7 things wrapped up together, those are the things that we see successful salespeople using.
It's a huge topic, isn't it? I mean, as a whole, like much more in depth than I was even expecting today, which has been fascinating. And you talked about the technology, which is obviously was going to be one of my questions to you. Like everyone is always asking about tools that they can use to speed themselves up. But I suppose you're saying that really getting the basics right, getting the offer correct, having the right sales process is miles more important than before you bring in technology, because it just speeds you up. It doesn't necessarily correct the process if the process is wrong.
Exactly. And I think the point is you should use the tools to enhance your process and enhance your capabilities, not just use them as a crutch or use them as a method of selling. You can't ignore one without the other. I mean, having said that, I'm a massive advocate of using the tools to give you the extra productivity. And the most obvious one is an appropriate CRM system. I think recent stats said something like, I think it's 80% of businesses have got a CRM system nowadays, but we often find that most of them don't know how to use it properly, and not getting the value out of it.
Yeah, we had one of our last talks was about CRM systems, funnily enough.
Excellent.
And it was one of the things that we were talking about is how they're not using it. So they're not putting the data in, and therefore they're not getting the data out, or they're not sure what to use it for. So they have one set up and it's sort of running away in the background, but nothing is happening with it. So that was something that was really interesting.
People then don't recognize the value of it either. And you'll get the feedback from salespeople, for example, when you're trying to implement a CRM system, where they say, "Well, do you want me out selling, or do you want me entering data into a CRM system all day? What's more valuable?" Well, actually, both are really equally valuable. And the CRM systems that are out there today can be, I mean, I won't go into the detail because obviously you've been through it in the previous call, but the nurturing that you can do with them, the contact management, the tasks, the sales pipeline management, the forecasting, getting the reporting out of it as well. From a sales management point of view, it's invaluable.
Yeah,
So
it's,
I
I
think,
mean, and one of the reasons why we do these talks is to show how everything ties up together. And funnily enough, that's why you were following on from his talk. It was Paul, so Paul will be loving you right now. Um, but it was to show how interconnected all of this is, and without it, websites don't work, which is one of the things that people think they build a new website, it's a magic bullet, but actually that's not how that works. You've got to push stuff into it. The only way your website can attract traffic is through SEO. Everything else needs to be pushed. And that has to be either email marketing, sales process, you name it, it's all pushing that traffic in. CRM systems are there to process that data that is coming off it. Having a sales process at the other end is very important for people to pick that up. So it's all part of an overall strategy, and just aligning your ducks in a row really is how we try to look at it, which is exactly why we do these sort of talks, to try and educate people so that they realize how interconnected. They can't just concentrate on one area and be strong in one area, because they'll only grow so far if they're not giving that attention to it.
yeah, absolutely. And if you talk about, I mean, you mentioned the sales process there. If you talk about different stages in your sales process, there's the things like your CRM system can help you no end with managing those different stages and understanding what actions you need to take at different stages as well, because there's very different tactics that you need to deploy. If you're thinking about pipeline management, for example, that's a clear stage in your sales process, and people can often get lost in that type of situation, but you can't afford to get lost in it. If you're a salesperson, you've got a target, and if you've got a target, then you need a pipeline to manage that target. And knowing what to do at different stages in that pipeline to push things through that pipeline is really important. And again, just another sort of quick kind of tip that we focus on. It's we use a system called zonal pipeline management, where lots of people will talk about the probability of closing things. I know this one's got a 10% probability, this one's got 90% probability. Well, how do you know? And you don't know unless you know what stage an opportunity is at. And so we have a quite a simple system where we have an A to D classification for all kind of prospects and opportunities that we're working on. So they come in at a D. So a brand new opportunity comes in at a D. Very, very little about that opportunity at this point. You can't really forecast it yet. You don't know fundamentally what the client wants, but your job at this point is to qualify that opportunity and to really learn about what that particular prospect wants. And if you can get to that qualification stage and think, yeah, this is good, I can progress with this, then you start thinking, right, I'm going to move this up my pipeline now. I'm going to move it into a C. So the C then become a good opportunity. You think, yeah, I can see how this is going to work, but I've still got a lot of work to do. So I've got to do a proposal. Yeah, I've got to really kind of understand their pain points. I've got to dig into the real challenges a little bit more. And then you'll get to a point where your proposal is going out. You'll be talking about budgets. You'll sort of get to a point where the client is saying, yeah, I'm up for this. I'm liking what you're putting forward here. And then that then goes up to a B. And at the B stage, you start getting into commercials. You're thinking, yeah, I'm going to close this. This is something that is going to be a successful sale within the next, say, 2 to 6 weeks or so. There's still some work to do, not fully on track yet. But at this point, what you're doing there is you're concentrating on your obstacle management. So you're identifying what could stop that deal from closing. What else do you need to do to make sure that prospect says yes? And then when you get to that kind of, yeah, we're good to go, it's then into an A scenario. And frankly, at that point, all you're concentrating on is your transactional conversations. You're getting your terms of business out. You're getting your final proposal signed, and it's the whole kind of where's my order type sort of conversation. And then you get to the close. So it's the point of that is that when you're managing that pipeline from a sales management point of view, or even as a salesperson, the balance of opportunities that you've got in each stage, to sort of get them through that pipeline,
yeah,
and
I can
know
see
what
that.
you've got to do at each stage.
And I can also see, looking at that and going there, and B, what objections have I got left that I need to overcome, allows you to sort of really segment that off at that point in time, and to get it over the line. I really like that. It's great, really simple, but really effective. I can
It
completely see
works.
it.
It really does work.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for years.
Well, Matt, look, thank you so much for coming in and having a chat today. I really appreciate it. We've covered loads more and loads of stuff that I had no idea about. So I'm now going to realise how little I do know about this topic. Could you just let people know how they might get in touch with you? I've also put your booking link if anyone wants to have a chat. Hope that was all right. Direct
Absolutely,
them
that's
to
not
your
a problem.
site.
Our website is firestartersolutions.co.uk. Go and have a look on there. There's lots of good content on there that explains some of the things that I've been talking about today. And also, anybody wants to get in touch, you can find me personally on LinkedIn as well, and sort of reach out to me. And I'd love to sort of chat more with people if they found what I've talked about today interesting.
Fab. Thank you so much.